An amazing new design joins the Underdog store, so get yourself an amazing shirt today. Every purchase supports the channel and you look fantastic while doing it. A big shout out to M-Boy Manuel for his amazing artwork. So today we're talking about Adam, who has perhaps the most evasive Hurtbox in any NetherRealm game. This guy's down 3 is the stuff of nightmares. He can shrink to be tiny and you pretty much can't hit him, and he can combo with one button, so that's scary. And on top of all of that, he has perhaps the best crouch animation in any fighting game. Look at this, 5'11", 6 feet, 5'11", 6 feet. Oh, and he can also hover, that's pretty important, tons of airborne shenanigans, and he can teleport, lots of crazy stuff. So without any further ado, let's get into it. For starters, we have to talk about his down 3. This thing is pretty much Melina's down 4 in MK9, and in case you don't know what that means, he can pretty much avoid anything, including mids. He ducks under so many things. So for example, I'm going to take control of Blue Beetle real quick and check this out. So this projectile, it's a high, but if I want to spin the bar and meter burn it, it becomes a mid. So you cannot duck under this thing, right? Not gonna work, but check this out. Down 3. Down 3. And you don't even have to time it. He's pretty much low to the ground immediately on startup, and he stays down there until he recovers. You can do it early, you can do it late. It's really good at avoiding tons of things. And once again, this projectile is a mid, but it does not matter. And in fact, Adam gets so low to the ground that he can even steal his turn back after a down 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and take control of Adam here and tell him to down 1 me, and just check out how nuts this is. So walk forward, down 1, down 3. He's going to mash it. I'm gonna try and take my turn back, and I can't because he's so low to the ground that my down 1 is whiffing. And keep in mind, Adam is minus right now. It should be my turn, but I just can't hit him even with my down 1. Now, thankfully, if done really close, this shenanigan doesn't work, but if he spaces it properly, I can just not take my turn back. He can just mash that down 3. And one more great example is Blue Beetle's shield charge. So once again, this thing hits mid, so you cannot duck under it, and it's also fully invincible and safe on block, if you can believe that. So in summary, this move is incredible, but guess what? Down 3. So as you can see, this down 3 is already crazy evasive. It has a very low hitbox, it avoids projectiles and a bunch of other mids up close. And that's just his sweep, which is already crazy. So now let's talk about his crouch. This crouch is also crazy good as well. His hurtbox gets really small. So as an example, I'm gonna go ahead and tell Blue Beetle to do one of his infamous cross-ups. Blue Beetle has some really good cross-ups. Check this out. I can just duck on reaction to it. It's not gonna hit me. Look at this. This is crazy. Look how I can duck it every single time. No fear. In fact, the only way Blue Beetle can hit me here is if he delays it quite a lot. If he does that, then maybe he'll hit me, but look at that. He didn't delay it enough. I can still duck under it, so let's delay it even more. I'm gonna do it super late, like right there. Now he might hit me, look at that, but guess what? I have an answer, down 3. If I use down 3 here, he is going to miss every single time, and I may even get a trade out of it. This down 3 is ridiculous, especially when you're already crouching, because his hurtbox is already small, and then his down 3 makes his hurtbox even smaller. Or put simply, this character almost never had to worry about a cross-up. He could avoid nearly anything, or in a worst case scenario, he trades, but most of the time he would win or avoid your jump in completely. Or if he wanted to be lazy, he could just uppercut you. If he knew you were going for a meaty jump in to try and catch his crouching hurtbox, he could just uppercut on reaction because you're taking way too long to do your jump in, eat the uppercut every single time. And if all of that wasn't crazy enough already, this character can even avoid you while jumping because he can float. He can float on the way down, so if he jumps and you try to snipe him with any kind of projectile, he can just go, nope, I'm gonna hover. And then if he dodges one projectile and you try to fire a second one, he can go, nope, I'm gonna teleport. So this guy can dodge you while in the air. He is nuts. And on top of dodging attacks, the float was also really good for double jump in shenanigans. So look at that, double overhead. And that's really scary because Adam has a low hitting combo starter, so you're scared of that already, and instead you get caught by a second overhead. Very sneaky. Or if the Adam player wanted to, they could just float all the way to the ground and then go for a low immediately after landing, because the entire time they're floating, you're afraid of the overhead. Or in other words, Adam pretty much has a 50-50 from the air. It's very hard to fuzzy guard. And what made this float extra scary is that Adam had a really good cross up with his jumping 3, so even if you blocked it, he could just float and go for a second overhead or float and go for a low, any number of things. The mix-ups just didn't stop, especially since Adam had this move right here, Fermonian Fury, and this left you standing at the end of a combo. So if he meter burned it, he could just delay his jump in a little bit and go for a very ambiguous cross-up that's hard to block, but even if you do block it, he can float cancel and go for an overhead or a low, all those crazy shenanigans. So once this character got close to you, not only was he very hard to hit, but he also had some really deadly mix-ups as well. And then before we talk about his character power, we have to discuss his teleport. So this thing was pretty fast and could avoid a lot of projectiles, and he could also do it from the air. So if he jumped and you wanted to anti-air him, nope, he can just teleport behind you, and if your attack has a long recovery, he gets a full combo punish on you. And on the ground, this move was already fast enough, right? But here's the thing, the startup is actually 1 frame if you do it in the air. So if you can do it instantly, you remove all the startup, you teleport right away. And even the recovery on the air teleport is also a couple frames faster as well. Now, I'm not skilled enough to do it instantly, but if you could, look at that, look how fast you teleport. So in the hands of a skilled player, you could teleport on reaction to pretty much any projectile and avoid it completely. And if you didn't play this game, you might be thinking, well, they can just wait for the teleport and then punish you on reaction, and that would be true if not for the meter burn option, which hits right away before you can do anything, and it's a mid, so you can't duck under it. Now, thankfully, the meter burn teleport is very unsafe on block, so you could punish it for a full combo, but the idea is if you keep trying to punish him for a regular teleport, he can just spin the bar and hit you every time. And then once he has you scared of the meter burn teleport because he keeps hitting you with it, he can just go for a regular teleport and then block. Or if you're extra scared, he can just attack you afterwards. And also keep in mind that Injustice does not have a block button, which means this teleport is a very fast cross-up. So remember the jump in? How he could jump in and go for a float? Well, what if instead he jumps in and goes for a teleport cross-up? That's very tough to block. Or hey, what if he does a double overhead into a teleport cross-up? Very, very tough to block. And then of course we have the double cross-up after his jump in. So tons of sneaky stuff from this character. If he has a bar, he can cross you up on a dime, which leads to a bunch of shenanigans. And now it's finally time to talk about his character power. So of course he shrinks. That's the entire point of the Atom. He shrinks and gets very, very small, but this shrink was way more stronger than you might think if you didn't play this game. So for starters, as you just saw, you can mash triangle and you get a combo along with a bunch of corner carry. But of course NetherRealm didn't stop there. It wouldn't make sense for him to shrink if he didn't have a bunch of sneaky mix-ups. So right there, that's an overhead, and the same button is a low when you're on the ground. And of course the Atom player could make this overhead cross up, because why not? The entire point of this trait is to be as annoying as possible. Though if I'm being honest, the low was actually much scarier because it led to a full combo. And as if that's not enough mix-ups already, of course he can throw you in this state as well, and if he does, he completely avoids the cooldown punishment. So normally when Atom's meter runs out during this state, he is staggered for a long amount of time, which means you can hit him and go for a full combo punish. However, that's not the case if he manages to throw you, so he can bully you the entire time, then go for a throw, and if he lands it, he is completely safe with no cooldown punishment. And to make things even more unfair, even if you break the throw, he avoids the cooldown punishment as well. It doesn't matter. So as long as he goes for a throw at the right time, he avoids the cooldown. In summary, this trait is absolutely bonkers, leads to a full combo, has a bunch of mix-ups, he can even throw you, and of course he can do it from the air as well and do an overhead on the way down, or he can mash 2 and go for a bunch of nonsense, he can go for a low, that leads to a full combo, he can throw you, all that dirty stuff. And the entire time he does this, of course he's almost impossible to hit. Pretty much every high attack and even most mids will miss him when he's in this state unless he's in the air. And in fact, even the startup itself is very evasive, so look how late I transformed and I still avoided that projectile completely. The second you press the button, your Hurtbox is already very small. As you can see, the Atom is just a monster up close, but here's the crazy thing, he wasn't really a rushdown character, or at least he didn't have to be. He was also really good from far away as well. You could consider him a zoner if you wanted to play him that way. So for starters, he has the stomp. So this thing is great for checking the opponent all the time, and since it does more damage than most projectiles in the game, even if you trade, you're still going to end out on top. And then if you want to meter burn it, it becomes unblockable, and it's full screen, and it even hits behind Atom. So if you teleport and you're close to the ground, this move will still hit you. And as if all of that wasn't crazy enough, the regular version is also +7 on block, so up close it just means more pressure. And if the Atom player kept bullying the opponent with the unblockable, chances are they're going to jump, and if they do, he can snipe them with his projectile, which is more than fast enough to get the job done. So from far away, a lot of Atom players would just switch between the two. They'd go for the stomp, and if you jump to avoid it, they'd shoot you out of the air, and then if they spin the bar, you're in the air for a very long amount of time. In fact, even if you and the opponent trade, chances are you can dash forward and still land a back 3. So from far away, Atom wins pretty much every trade and gets a full combo if he has the meter. And as mentioned earlier, if the Atom player touched you and got a combo, he could just deny your wake up every single time with his was back forward too because it left you standing. And that's a big deal in this game because certain wake-ups have invincibility. So as you can see, I was not joking when I said this character has the most evasive Hurtbox in any NetherRealm game. His down 3, his crouch, his trait, his teleport, all that stuff makes him very tough to land a hit on. And I'm sure all of that sounds broken, but thankfully at the very least Adam did have some pretty low damage. And honestly, we only scratched the surface of this character. He still has the chemicals and all that cool stuff, but this video was mainly about his crazy Hurtbox, so I think that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton. And then keep that combo going by suplexing that subscribe button. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.